I just got mine a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Coming over from Nikon. So yeah, or red.
Oh yeah. So first of all, hi everyone. This is us, Thomas and John, and this is not a podcast, but maybe somewhat of a podcast, maybe.
Maybe yeah.
We ain't sure yet, but I wanted to make this video about the Sony FX30. Which camera should I be looking into? This one or this one?
I think
This
that
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, this video about the Sony FX30. Both John and I are using the Sony FX30. You just got your...
I just got mine a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Coming over from Nikon. So yeah, or red.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No,
Hercules.
Yeah, exactly. No, Nikon shooter. Actually, I have just been taking photos. So this is my first film camera, I guess. And it's a lot of fun.
So I have a few questions since you were shooting on full frame. And now you're on Super 35 or APS-C. You know, there's a lot of great cameras that people are reviewing, and it's great, it's wonderful, it can do this and it can do this, but it's not full frame. So,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious about your perception of shooting on Super 35 now, coming from Nikon full frame. Does it suck, or is it?
Well, full frame for me, it's about when you're cropping the image or when you're printing or stuff like that. When I'm coming from photos, and I have pretty much never done that. What I shoot is what I use. So I haven't really felt the difference between full frame or crop sensor. I just went with it, but I did buy my Nikon D750 back in the days because it was full frame, because I was kind of new shooter, and it was the advice I got was buy a full frame camera. You need a full frame camera. I don't know if that's true, but well, that's what I did.
So you started with full frame.
Actually, my very first camera was a Nikon D3200, I think, which I got from my parents. And pretty quickly I realized that I liked wildlife photography. And that's a subject where I feel like a full frame can be of use, because if you are too far away, you can crop in more.
But on the other hand, if you're shooting on APS-C, you're already cropped in.
Yeah, but yeah.
But I get it.
Put me on the spot.
No, I get it. Resolution usually
Exactly.
Goes hand in hand with. But
I think also it depends if you're like shooting for Instagram or if you're shooting for print shop or something like that. I think if you are doing prints, like you want to do big, large A1s or something like that, you probably want a full frame camera because you have more resolution. But if you're just posting for Instagram or stuff like that, I don't think it's necessary. I guess. Yeah.
Was it a learning curve getting used to how different focal lengths behave when you switch to APS-C? Like, oh, this isn't 35, but it's actually 35, or?
Yeah. Yes and no. I'm working a lot with feelings instead of facts. so when I'm shooting, I'm not like looking at, okay, I'm at 35 now, or I'm at 70 or something like that. I just look at in the viewfinder or the screen, and like, this looks good. I like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
I can subscribe to that philosophy myself.
But of course there is kind of when I'm taking my FX30 and I think of like, okay, I want a very wide shot now, and right now I only have the 18 to 50 signal lens, and when I'm thinking, okay, very wide, 18.
Yeah.
And then it's not very wide.
No.
That's of course there's these things I have to get used to, but that's also I'm learning that okay, it's a crop sensor with a full frame. I have to adapt to that. So yeah.
I've pretty much always shot on APS-C digitally, so I'm kind of used to it. But same thing with you, I just zoom with my feet or go by feeling and see what looks nice and all that.
Yeah.
Something that I noticed, or I guess I noticed, was that when the FX30 was launched, a lot of the reviewers on YouTube and other platforms were already shooting on cameras like the FX3, the FX6, or the FX9. So they were kind of comparing the FX30 to FX3 or A7S3, which are full frame, and they also have that 12,800 second base ISO and all that fun stuff. And when you compare the FX30 to the FX3 on those kind of points, it's also got a slightly faster or quite faster readout speed on the sensor, so you got less of that rolling shutter and those kind of things. Well, then it may feel like Sony hit the FX30 with a Canon cripple hammer when they designed all the specs and everything. But if we stop comparing the FX30 with the FX3 and just look at the FX30 for what it actually is and what it can do, would you say you're happy with the performance of the FX30?
Oh yeah, very happy. Of course, I'm coming from a camera that's not a film camera, so it's like poor autofocus and all that kind of stuff. So of course my judgment is kind of skewed by that, but I feel like it's a good camera, and I'm liking how it works so far. Also, the reason that I chose this camera, we talked about that before I bought it, that I wanted something where I could fuel my creativity. So when I'm using the FX30, I feel like I have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to creativity, where if I was filming something with my old Nikon, it was like very locked to this kind of stuff. For example, something like log. That's totally new to me, and it's a lot of fun because it gives more fuels my creativity, I guess.
There's always going to be cameras that can do something better than the next camera. The question is more, I think that you have to ask yourself, if you're looking at a camera like the Sony FX30, can it do what I need this camera to be able to do?
Yeah.
Can it shoot log? Can it run for an entire day without the risk of overheating? I mean, I did a documentary shoot a couple of months ago. We started at 5:30 in the morning. So I started shooting on our way out to the location, and it was a hot day, I think 26, 27 degrees Celsius. And I turned my camera off at around 4:45 in the afternoon. So, well, almost like 12 hours. I think I changed some batteries in between, but it was almost powered on for 12 hours. My previous camera, the Fujifilm X-T4, would have overheated so many times, and I would probably have missed a lot of opportunities and a lot of things happening just because of overheating issues. So I think for video, a camera like the FX30 can do a lot of things. You can definitely use it in professional settings.
And I like that it's kind of cheap compared to a lot of other brands or a lot of another cameras, because when I was looking, I still want to do photography, but I also want to be able to do video, and I was looking at getting a hybrid camera, something that could do both photography and video with the specs I wanted, but that was just too expensive, and as for me as a student, I don't have a lot of money, so that's one of the reasons I chose the FX30. And like you said, like with the cooling, and it sets me up to be able to do more professional work in the future. With the education I'm taking now, I'm going to work with visual communication, and my plan is to work with video in that aspect. And buying a camera like this, I think could, I hope,
Yeah.
it sets me up for a good start when
Yeah.
I'm choosing to go like
Yeah.
professional like that. Also, the other reasons I chose this was like I want to do color grading, like the creative stuff, and with 10-bit and all that, it's a great camera to start out with, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's of course it's still a lot of money, but compared to a lot of other brands, I think it's a good start. Depends on what you want to do, but you don't need like this kind of camera to be creative. I know that,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of other people know that too. But
maybe it'll help you with the vision that you have.
yeah,
You talk about color grading and having that 422 10-bit
yeah, exactly.
log.
Yeah, and I also think that we sometimes forget that when we work with clients, that our expectations of the end product compared to their expectations are sometimes not the same. Like I work with a brand that's making gin, and some of the stuff I make for them, I feel like, but they're like, wow, this is the best thing ever. This is the best thing we ever seen. And I mean that we don't always need the best gear to produce content for companies or whatever it is. They are still going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
So
you know the limitations of your gear, but if you're familiar with that gear, you know how far you can push it without creating issues for you on your end that you have to deal with denoising and things like that in post.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've been shooting a lot of the content for that gin company on your Nikon before you...
Yeah, I did that actually. Mostly photos. We did some video, but the problem with my old Nikon is that if I really set up everything, lights, everything, I can get decent quality out of it. But as soon as I have to bump the ISO up just like to 200, I lose a lot of quality when it's video. The autofocus doesn't work, so when I'm filming them or I need to tell them either you stand perfectly still, or I have to stand there and manually do the focus. And well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It worked for like HDN, so like drink videos where they're pouring cocktails. It's quite easy to and doesn't need a lot of stuff, but it's still nice to have something with autofocus.
We're actually, that's your FX30 with the Sigma 18 to 50.
Exactly.
2.8, and that's my FX30 with the Tamron 17 to 70. There's kind of this feud online between these two lenses. Some people swear by the Sigma, some people swear by the Tamron. I did a comparison video where I found both of these lenses to be great options for the FX30. Are you happy with the Sigma? You've been shooting on that lens mainly. You have a couple of vintage lenses as well.
I'm happy with it. It works fine so far. I lost my train of thought, but I'm happy about it. I have never tried Tamron. The thing I heard about Tamron is that they are heavy compared to Sigma, but I have never tried it, so that's just rumors for me.
I think that's kind of a misconception, in my opinion, because the Sigma in itself, it's super duper tiny, obviously, and the Tamron is, I mean, it's still smaller than a 24 to 70, and it's still lighter than 24 to 70. But compared to the Sigma, it's obviously a bit heavier. But you can try and see what you think. I bought the Tamron because I like the image stabilization. I have my hands are pretty jittery. There's
Yeah.
some days that are better than others, but I always like to have that extra level of
Yeah.
stabilization, and also like the fact that it's weather sealed. So today it's not raining here in Sweden, but it's usually a bit foggy, gloomy, and rainy here in Sweden. And I've always had weather sealed cameras before, but I never had a weather sealed lens. So I just figured, I want to get in there and get the full use of the gear. And I was also very lucky when I ordered my FX30. The Tamron 1770 was actually on sale, so I think I paid about the same amount as the Sigma 18-50. So I was lucky, I guess. So, but I've been happy with the Tamron too. So those are, come highly recommended, both of those lenses. Well, we don't want to. I have no idea how long we've been talking about this, but I hope we could do this more often to kind of bring up different topics here on the channel and just hang out, talk about things, video, photo related, and that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna leave a link to John's YouTube and Instagram somewhere on the screen and in the description and that kind of stuff. What kind of things are you working on now? By the way, you were talking about a new camera bag review or something?
Yeah, I bought a new camera bag and I did a video on it, but well, I'm still very new to YouTube, so I'm not sure yet. I feel like I'm kind of just rambling through it and hope to get something out of it. So we will see. I'm also at school. We are supposed to do a documentary, so I'm kind of working on a guy I think could be interesting to do some stuff with, and hopefully he'd let me put it on YouTube too.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about that. And then, yeah.
So, and that's going to be great, I guess, to have the FX30 to be able to just set up the camera, leave it running, because when you're shooting documentary things, you never know, unless it's like semi-scripted documentaries, you never know when things are going to happen or
exactly.
when you're going to, get some great bits. So.
Yeah, and I never done anything like that, so I have no idea what to do.
Well, that's going to be interesting to follow.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to wrap things up here now, and I hope our conversation about the Sony FX30 made some of you doubters out there, if you're kind of hovering on that purchase button or not, that we managed to bring some sort of, useful information. So like we said, it's a great camera, and you don't have to compare it to the FX3, which is an even greater or better camera with low light capabilities and all that. But that said, the FX30 can still do a lot of good, especially if you're on a tighter budget and you still want to have a video-centric camera that can do basically anything. So yeah, until next time. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Yeah.